separate game plan. Let's jump into the bans.
All right, let's take a look indeed at the bans, folks, and just bouncing off of Stokes' point real quick. The stats actually do agree with you there. Oxygen does have a much better map win rate overall on this map. They've played it 3 times recently they played it, 3 times recently, being able to win it 2 out of those 3 times, compared to their opponents, Disrupt, who's played this 4 times, but has only won it once. Disrupt's obviously like a little bit harder to peg with maps, just because their map stats are super spread out amongst the entire pool, but that should hopefully paint a pretty good picture for you guys, at least between the 2 teams, as we get ready to jump into this one.
For how the playstyles also, transcended both of the previous maps that we've played, I feel like Cafe is the perfect finisher, because Cafe really is about balancing, how much pressure you're putting on the other team, as well as that utility game. And both of these teams, as you were saying, as we just came back in, have been dancing around each other for both of the previous maps. So Cafe is going to make it to where it's a little bit more close quarters. It's going to be a little bit more in your face, as well as that utility usage going on. So we could see some fireworks.
Super utility focused bans coming out here, as obviously it's been completed now. Thatcher, kind of what we expect. The same can be said for Mir, but there's still 2 very important pieces of utility. Capital and Omai is the exact same thing. We've already talked about why Omai gets banned out. Capital is usually really popular pick for attacking teams on this map as well. So just getting rid of that additional both smoke and of course incendiary utility is going to help the defenders to breathe quite a bit here.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say is that the Capital ban has to fall in line with the Wamai ban if you're not going to use them on your offense. You do not want to give that to the offense at all, because now Capital no longer has a counter as well as he has secondary hard breach. Yeah, that's a no-go. We are definitely not going to be going through with that. So Capital banned out, Thatcher banned out, but that is going to leave a lot of hard destruction options up. Specifically the one that we're going to talk about, the Maverick. We might be seeing Maverick get used a decent bit, but we also could be seeing what Oxygen's doing right now before I look over. The Twitch coming into play. This is something that we don't see a lot on other maps, but on this map, we've been seeing it more and more often. It's kind of difficult still to use, obviously, with how prevalent Mute is, but she still has a very, very big impact if you can get those drones into sight.
So the drone can be a bit more stealthy sometimes if you're able to position it in the correct spots. That's where it can really sneak in and wreak some havoc, taking out multiple pieces of utility. And very important ones of that can include things like the NAL that are currently not being watched. So Oxygen will have to keep a close eye on that drone and see if it's able to get away with taking out any important pieces of said utility. Oxygen, speaking of which, are now out onto the board, having spawned for the first time, and we'll see how they fare against this kitchen defense from Disrupt. Once again, keeping with that trend of not going to the most obvious site right off rip here, but this is still a very, very popular pick for a lot of teams.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When it comes to choosing your site that you initially want to go to when you do start defense, or when it gets to your half, right? It's mostly game planning, what you think the offense is going to think that you're going to do. But at the end of the day, most of these sites are played, especially on Cafe. So you more or less bring the Swiss Army knife of your operator lineup, right? You're going to bring everything that you need to handle any site. And that's exactly what OXG has done here. They've brought the hard destruction. They've brought the flank watch with Laxing. I really like to pick up with the gridlock, especially because it's Cafe. Lots of staircases to worry about. And she is damn good when it comes to locking down staircases, as well as a lot of soft destruction. So they have everything in the cards right now to be able to handle any site that Disrupt throws at them.
Let's see if that lineup is going to be indeed good enough to handle the pressure. There's a little bit of an extension from Disrupt now, since they haven't had any immediate pressure on the kitchen here. Right off of the start of the round, they were very turtly, it looked like, but no longer the case here, as they're taking some more aggressive stances to try and see if they can catch Oxygen, as they'll begin to try and open up angles towards the inner sight. Now that we're getting lower on the timer. Some attempts to open up areas around the hatch there, I believe in hopes of taking out the denial utility that's on it. First attempt at that at least is unsuccessful, as Shuttlist still has his electric wall on that kitchen hatch.
We do still have frag grenades in Foxay's pocket, so we could get rid of it in a couple of different ways, but it seems that Vert wants to use his breaching round to do so. I believe that's exactly what they're doing right now, but still, that Electro Claw lives. Don't exactly know where it is either, so this could be a pretty difficult thing. I believe it's actually stuck inside of the hatch.
Yeah.
Either that, there's no real area in here to abuse to where it's unpreventable from getting open.
Got it.
Finally, yeah, that breaching round will get that, which means 2 aces down, and we're now now going to have a hatch open for freezer drop. Hopefully this doesn't go like we saw in previous Oxygen games here, where everyone just ends up dropping the freezer hatch.
That's a lot of utility used to get that job done, though. Good news is thankfully the second half of the freezer wall is left soft, so they can just have Sledge take care of that if worse comes to worse. But the bad news coming out of that is it does mean that we have the extended hold for this. J9 holding out in Christmas currently. That nade also not killing the shield for some reason. Laxing as well here, going to be able to get the first kill. That nade also not killing the shield. I think it's going around the corner of that wall and eating up most of the damage, I think. That one might have gone a bit too far, but the first one, yeah. Either way, you're going to try and force the issue, and the shotgun will kind of dominate it, as you might expect. J9O with 2 quick pickups here completely kills the white stairs push. He is going to get traded on going back as Bio finds the angle against him now that he takes Christmas. He's going to quickly group up with the rest of his teammates, though, as the plant attempt is being made in deep freezer. He's going to be able to come very close to catching Retro. In fact, he survives that encounter with just a single health point. Retro doesn't seem to be aware of where the plant goes down, though, so Slash is currently hiding in the smoke. Finally gets his opportunity to strike back, but is ultimately shut down by NJR. This round's not done just yet, though, as Laxing still alive and well up on the second floor, holding the post plant currently, and he expects NJR to swing up white, but oh my god, NJR showing up out of nowhere with a tap onto Laxing's head, takes him out, and he still has plenty of time for the counter defuse.
That made me make the face. You know when you listen to really good music, but then the drop happens and you weren't ready for that? You make that like, ugh, that face? That's what I just did right there. That was disgusting what NJR just did to Laxing. Amazing, amazing stuff. Mechanically gifted you are, NJR, let me tell you. Overall, really nice setup there from Disrupt. They were ready for the white take. That's what that shield and the VIP play was going on for. That was the whole thing right there. They wanted Oxygen to take white, and that's exactly what they did. They were set up really, really well for it on both sides. Ended up getting that diffuser down in a very weird instance, but again, great play there from Slash. He's getting better at putting these diffusers down in these very harsh scenarios. Again, smoking himself off, getting that diffuser planted. There's so many good things that's happening for the offense inside of that round. It just came down to who won that last gunfight.
6 pick into a clash going to be utilized here by our defenders. Disrupt try to hide that one as they now move up to the second floor for the next defense here after just barely coming out with the win there due to some good play from NJR and on the clutch in a very, very big way. It'll be the fireplace and the library defense here now for Disrupt. Obviously going to have to spread themselves out a bit more. Can't just fully focus on the first floor defense anymore. They definitely will need to play extended a bit up into this third floor hold towards Cocktail and top white.
I'm interested to see how Oxygen's going to handle this. We're going to have the same lineup that we had previously. Bio on the Zoe, Vert on the Ash, but actually, did we have Bio on the Zoe the last time? I don't believe we did. I want to say not, but could be also wrong, which is perfectly fine as well.
I think we had a Zoe. I just don't remember who was on
Okay,
it.
then it was probably Bio.
Yeah.
I'm probably just having a brain fart. It's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. It's all good. Anyways, with this lineup that they have, there's not really a chance for them to try and go for, you know, anything besides going from west to east here. They could obviously go for the train hold, but obviously they're not going to go for something like a cocktail take, especially because of the bomb site. You're not exactly going to walk into B to try and handle any of that. So Oxygen set up pretty well here, at least operator-wise, to handle everything that's going to be ahead of them. Now, the real thing that could slow them down quite a bit is going to be Shuttle on that clash. He could burn up quite a bit of this utility for Oxygen, especially from the likes of Biologic. He's going to be the direct counter that Oxygen will at least attempt to implement in order to counter him out. Those concussions can be extremely useful.
So some top control now starting to work its way into the hands of OXG. Bio, of course, the first one to step up to the plate there as he drops down a red hatch. It's not where really any of the defensive setup is focused, of course, as at least one of them will get spotted out by a drone now. That's NJR being noticed. Not going to be too much of an adjustment for him, though. They basically expect players to be here, so him getting spotted on the drone is not a big deal at all. It's all about how the rest of these players maintain themselves. You can see they're going to be using the clash to really just block off any attempts to swing through the big bar here. If they try to do it, obviously, a Shuttle will make that call out and hopefully have a player there supporting him within a moment's notice, due to the other two being just a couple steps away.
Well, slow half to the round here for Oxygen, but what else would you expect? Slowly making their way towards the cocktail side of the map. Disrupt has a good read on this, though. Still have utility, a lot of it, actually, as we just peek around the corner here on Reed's perspective. Still have 2 ADSs to assist Shuttle in holding this down. This more than likely is going to be a train take here from Oxygen. They don't want to deal with that cocktail take. So, actually, Could be a nice little adjustment here. They went for the pillars wall instead. We could have a plant onto reading. I really, really like what Oxygen's doing here. They're just cutting things on the red 90 and making it difficult for Disrupt to fight up the hallway.
The only problem that could come in here is Disrupt should be aware of what's happening currently. We'll come back to this in a moment here. A whole flurry of trades is going to start between the two teams and ultimately brings it down still into an even 3v3. That's until NJR gets another piece of it, though. And he's going to be able to add another one to the kill counter here for Disrupt and bring Oxygen down to 2. They've got the plant down, though, and it seems like they did miss the message on the actual play. Laxing as well able to kill Shuttle with the track stingers, taking him out. Curious as to how that happened. But either way, it's going to take Shuttle down. And leave Laxing and Bio still up, standing at full HP here for Oxygen. Bio bringing it down to hit 1 now. NJR trying to clutch, but is not going to be able to do it. Oxygen quickly bounce back and take the second round for themselves.
So to answer your question, they upped the damage model on her track stingers like a little while ago. So they actually do some damage now.
I saw the health bleeding down, and I was like, how's he dying that quick? And there you go. That answers the question, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
I guess he wasn't aware of that change because
you don't play against her a lot.
No.
So when you do step on the tracks, you're like, oh, it's old track stingers. And then those things nuke your health. And you're like, oh, this is a really bad idea. I can't blame him at all, man. I'd have done the same exact thing. So very unfortunate instance there for them. But Oxygen, great round. Great round. We're going to have a Warden pickup. Let's talk about that for a second. Warden, an operator we never, ever see. But I'll tell you exactly why Disrupt's bringing him. It's because Warden gets to see through smokes, folks. If you don't know what Warden does, he has a very special pair of glasses. And no, these aren't the Ray-Bans that your parents wear. These glasses can not only see through smoke, but they also prevent Warden from being stunned. But he has to have them on. That's the one caveat. They do have a battery life, and it's not like your new iPhone where it lasts forever. Oh, no. These things last for about 6 seconds. So you have to kind of pick and choose exactly when you're going to utilize those, as well as with the animation used to turn them on and off. It makes it to where you can't just spam it on and spam it off. It's actually got a pretty good amount of balancing around it. So we'll see if Disrupt can put him to good use.
He got a scope, too, if memory serves me correctly, right? He got the 1.5.
1.5 on the MPX.
So he's got a little bit more versatility as a result of that too. That 1.5 for defense, at least in my opinion, is actually like really smooth to use, especially if you're trying to like just quickly isolate out a headshot angle or something like that. So you can get some pretty dirty shots off on him now, where it wasn't so easy to do before.
I love it for this position right here that Shuttle's playing.
Yeah.
That 1.5 times scope assists so much, especially with a gunfight that he's going to have towards Ticket. You guys can see him looking at Ticket window right now, or over towards the new balcony where NGR is currently positioned. He has a lot of chances to take these long gunfights. Granted, the MPX at range is an absolute snowball thrower, but if you're a professional player and you can click heads, it's a whole different story.
Especially with that tiny little dot in the middle now. Like I said, that crosshair actually is pretty nice, at least in my opinion, for trying to line up headshots, but your mileage may vary, of course. That's all personal preference. And it seems like OXG's preference is going to be to come storming into the site here. NJR caught dead to rights by Vert after he hops in there. An attempt being made now by Shuttle. He nearly takes some damage in response. He's going to lose his shield in a moment here. So he does it to fall back deeper into white. Can play into the bathroom, though. You'll note he has the half reinforcement there if he wants to try and swing it again.
Some super smart play there from Vertical. Instead of shooting the breaching charge at the base of the shield, he shot it well enough in front of it to where the ADSs would not catch that were placed on the pixel wall. So all of those ADSs are still there, but Vert got rid of the shield. You can no longer play pixel, and if you try to, you're going to die. So Oxygen has complete Christmas control now as they start to make this more and more difficult for Disrupt. Disrupt working things well, though. They had just Shuttle off of the shield back towards white, so they're still going to have control in the areas that are desperately needed.
Retro also still waiting for his first opportunity to find some action here, and he may get that chance pretty soon here. A lot of flashes working his direction here, or at least soaring by him. Has not felt the need to chuck out any of the toxic babes just as of yet, though. Going to continue to remain hesitant on that, and it's a good thing too, as he hasn't really needed to use them. There's not been a sign of the push from Oxygen, so he's wasted a lot of the time and now begin to use them appropriately to waste the remaining 55 seconds on the clock. Although that's not if. We'll see the nade take him down first, which is going to be actually not the unfortunate truth. It's Slash that kills him outright with a gun, as I quickly correct myself there. Either way, still Oxygen dominance so far in round number 3 here. They brought it down to a 5v3. The only thing they haven't been able to do is force the issue out onto the actual site just yet, but that push should be coming within the next, I would say, 20 seconds or so, especially with that kill coming out from Bio. Getting access to the Nubauk here, he's going to be able to control even more of it. He even knows where the final player is as well. J9's not going to be able to last very long. It's a flawless round from Oxygen.
That's a beautiful, beautiful round from them. Just controlling every single aspect of that top floor. As going as far as to rotate a player in the latter half of that round to Cocktail to apply even more pressure and eventually swinging in Heaven Window. There was a lot of good things there for Oxygen. Disrupt did not have a single horse in that race at all. I can tell you that for sure. So they're immediately going to switch off, and I can't blame them at all, going to Fireplace Hall and mining.
Another hopefully successful site here for Disrupt if they can make it happen for themselves here. At the same time, OXG really starting to get into the swing of things, especially when it comes to early round control. There's not been a lot of disruption from, well, the Disrupt roster. Pardon the pun, it was a complete accident. And as a result of that, we're going to need to hopefully see them step up the efficiency in that game just a little bit here for the rest of the half. They want to have hopes of trying, again, just poor choice of words, to disrupt the overall early Oxygen pushes here. I can't think of a synonym for disrupt right now. Interfere with. There we go. That'll be the one I use from now on.
The crappiest thing about those instances is you're like, it's literally their name. I can't think of it.
No,
It's like when you're, it's like when you're listening to music.
Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like when you're listening to music and you try to think of a different song rather than the song that you're listening to. It's almost impossible, you know?
Clearly, Disrupt should just change the team name.
Yeah, Cashflow, what are you doing, man? Come on, change the name. For commentators' sake. Disrupt, though. Setup looking nice. I like what they've done upstairs, at least. Love what you've done with the place. ADSs going inside of Pixel for NJR, so he could hold on to that one for a while. They've also reinforced the hatch upstairs because, well, desperately needed inside of Christmas. If that maintains, obviously being soft as opposed to the hard reinforcement, then there's going to be some vertical play that can happen, and obviously people dropping through, which is not what you want to happen unless you're going to cost them some of those ace Soma charges.
Like I said, hopefully trying to get a little bit more disruption going on. I'd use it again in the early round here. Oxygen. There is going to be at least one player on the windows here, and that's Fox, as you can see. But he's obviously going to be a little bit cautious about his fight selection here as well. NJR chose to back up over towards Pixel in the process, and it's a good thing that he did, because Retro is somehow able to find the angle onto Foxe from outside, I believe, of the mining window right there, taking him out of the picture. Very well done.
I'm sorry, that was my fault. I was exclamating that because that was a Maestro that just jumped outside.
Yeah.
You don't see that one every single day. So Retro's gonna get the initial kill onto Fox, which Oxygen was definitely not ready for. Reed's taking quite a bit of damage though. Does still have 2 smoke grenades that he can utilize to slow down this push, but now Oxygen has all of top control. Granted, they don't have the same amount of verticality as they had at the beginning of the round when Fox was still alive, but they're still breaching charges as well as breaching rounds to use to make some of this vertical play.
A little bit of top-down control now being exercised for here by the Oxygen roster with those extra breaching charges that we saw brought to the table by Bio. Hopefully give them a little bit better purview of what is going on downstairs. And unfortunately for them, though, it's actually not going to reveal all that much in actuality when you look at the very empty site that is sitting before them right now. Vertical is going to be able to push the advantage a little bit further here for Oxygen and at least tie things up back down into a 4v4. He's able to take down Shuttle, Slash finding another kill too, but J9 hot on the tail there, is able to pick one up, as is Retro. Bio trading it right back again though. These fights so neck and neck between these two teams, and this round is no exception here. Laxing with the most recent find. A good possibility to potentially take out Bio here though, but no, NJR missed his bottom to top angle where he might have been able to pull that off a second ago, and now is hoping for someone to cross red instead. He's going to move forward here, takes a lot of extra damage trying to get there, and as a result of that, Laxing will finish him off quite quickly, giving OXG yet another round.
Great stuff from Auction. Very nice recovery and good control of that top floor. That was really the dagger that ended up disrupt. I can't think of another word right now. Interfere with Disrupt. I'll just copy yours. That works. Anyways, for Disrupt, falling off of that top floor really early on exactly wasn't the worst thing in the world. They maintained man count and were able to work a lot of other things that they really wouldn't have been able to if they fought for that top control, because eventually you're going to have to give it up anyways. The offense wants the most control of that area, so they're able to get a diffuser down. So For DG, it really was the adjustments for Oxygen instead of those gunfights, and especially vertical. I believe coming up brown stairs. I just eventually saw him inside of Pillar, so I'm assuming this is exactly where he came from. Didn't exactly know, exactly where he ended up coming from initially. But overall, Oxygen shutting down a lot of the attempts that Disrupt had to try and stop them from getting that sight control, mainly because they were pushed so far back. We really didn't have any sight control that they had inside of Train. I mean, at one moment in time, Disrupt had 3 people inside of Reading.
Indeed the case there. Disrupt, fortunately, getting the better of themselves on that round. Not able to stop the flush of players from OXG. They're able to take control for themselves in that previous round, and now the attack starting to look better and better here for Oxygen. As like I said a few rounds back, really starting to come into their own here, especially when it comes to the early round situation. Disrupt doing a good job of finally fighting back at that at the beginning of the round, but just not able to follow that through enough into late round after getting the initial 5v4 advantage. So downstairs hold yet again here. This is so far the only site that's been won by Disrupt, and even then was won on a clutch from NJR. A very nice one at that. So even though this is a site they've had success on, I wouldn't necessarily call it a secure one that they would be able to repeat, as Oxygen came very close to winning it themselves.
Well, into the round now as Oxygen is clearing out the top floor. No presence here from Disrupt. They're all downstairs just playing things horizontally, which is exactly what you'd expect from this bomb site. We do have one missing person, though, to see exactly where that last Disrupt member is. Oh, there he is. NJR all the way at the front. Just lost track of him there for just a second. So truly is full on horizontal, still set up for that white take. So we'll see if Oxygen favors that or would much rather go towards Bakery. That white take seems to be very, very strong for them. It just that the diffuser goes down in some very awkward spots, it seems, that, you know, Oxygen really doesn't have the utmost control of. Last time around, though, Disrupt able to win that out off of that very, very drastic 1v1 in between the last 2 remaining members of Lax and NJR.
Oxygen knows for sure that this is a horizontal setup. You can see them spending all this extra time that they've been kind of gifted because of the fact that Disrupt wants to play it all downstairs to just set up top-down angles for them to hopefully use later on. There's some attempts, of course, to fire back as we see that Nitro still going off in front of Foxe. A little bit too far to do any major damage, though, so he ends up losing about 10 or so HP from that one. Bio also with the first find from these top-down angles. He's able to take out Shuttle and eliminate the Malusi.
Yeah, a lot of these Disrupt members not having the greatest time here on Cafe. Currently have 2 donuts, which is very unfortunate once again for the squad. Retro gets traded out, but he's downed instead of dead. Means Reed could possibly get him up, but he's worried about the vertical play right now, and he damn well should be. Laxing cleans up Retro, and all of a sudden Disrupt not in the best spot. Oxygen full, well and good, hanging out inside of the driver's seat. Have the hatch open as well, so good presence here from Oxygen. Just need to make some space for this plant.
Really a good thing to leave your teammate hanging on the ground like that, but it seems in that situation it was the smart play from Reed, as if he tried to go for the res, he might have been the dead man in that situation. The pinch potentially coming out against J9 in a moment here. He seems to be aware that it's a pinch. Some nice damage going on a Bio, but he's actually able to dodge the large majority of it there and come out on top of that fight. Very well played on the movement, specifically from him to avoid the shotgun damage. NJR coming down white on the flank, does pick up Foxe. Is he going to be able to get more than that? Not him necessarily, but Reed does, and now he's grouped up. All of a sudden, this is not certainly one round by Oxygen anymore, but thankfully they are able to bring it back under their control by once again utilizing the top-down angles to shut things down.
Oh, I actually... wow. Okay. So the hatch actually didn't end up getting opened.
No,
I thought they dedicated 2 pieces of utility there from Ace, but I don't exactly know what happened. It looked like they might have just dedicated one and said, hey, we'd rather have the vertical play. I don't really know.
I didn't look at what the defenders had for utility, but if there was an impact, I'm not sure if you can even do it there, but I was saying maybe it's possible that the second one got impact tricked or something like that. Because of all the top-down angles that were already open.
I mean, possibly, but also I would go as far as to say, like, he's going to throw them down at the same time, right? He's not going to put one Selma, wait for it to go fully off, and then put down another one. So I would say that if it did get impact tricked, that it would have destroyed both of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless for some reason the shrapnel system was just like, nah, which that's a possibility as well. That's kind of how Siege goes every once in a while. There's sometimes some random things that we aren't exactly ready for, but I mean, hey, that's just a very weird round ending there. I mean, Laxing stuck upstairs. His only form of travel to actually get downstairs will be heading towards white because that hatch is sealed. So they were really trying to force that vertical play to be able to hold down a post plan.
All right, folks. Oxygen, like I said before, continuing to push the advantage further and further into their favor. And now they've got a chance to really seal the deal here with a potential 5-1 scoreline coming off said attacking half. For Disrupt, very much in the same position that Oxygen was back on the previous map. They need to wake up right here, right now, and get themselves that second round, as if not, it's going to be a rough attempt to come back from the attacking side.
And things are actually pretty split as for, offensive and defensive side right now. I mean, granted, the Wamai ban, kind of a difficult thing for the defense to try and fight through. But again, it is still Cafe. Like, there's a lot of good things going on for the defense. Disrupt just can't find these rounds. Oxygen, I think, has mostly been winning these out instead of the very hard engagements that they've had with Disrupt, where, either way that gunfight falls, that team is more than likely going to win the round. Oxygen has been winning more of these 1v1s, and you can tell that just from the scoreboard. Looking over at Disrupt side right now, we were touching on Shuttle and Reed earlier. Now NJR dead early on. Oxygen time and time again on this offensive half, making very big impacts.
And Jared's been getting focused out a lot of the time too, which has probably been very frustrating for him, as he hasn't been able to have the opportunity to play in such a clutch fashion that he'd been doing in previous rounds here. Him being the first dead, certainly not a encouraging sign for the rest of the Disrupt roster, but they're gonna have to do their best to work without him anyway here. It's also going to be early white control going over towards the roster for Oxygen here. Be able to clear that out. There's no secondary hold. Vert's going to take some damage here. Brings him down very low, but he does survive after what looks like Reed tried to take him out there.
Yeah, well, Reed's going to get a lot of damage for that, but Oxygen getting traded back. Their load as well. Vert very low on 1 HP, as well as Slash, who's sitting right around that 10 to 15 area. So both of these members of Oxygen now one shot, but the map control for Oxygen, that's the thing that is bountiful right now. They have so much of it. They're mainly focused on Freezer right now. As you guys can see, the pings ticking back and forth, trying to figure out exactly how they want to handle this, as both walls have been reinforced off and kited. So not any presence on that, and no real chance unless they want to go underneath to get that taken control of. Could be in a pretty bad spot here. Bad predicament, as well as Retro tosses a Toxic Babe, ends up killing off Slash here, but Bio's gonna grab the diffuser and immediately starts planning. All the smoke's going off, and the man with the nice suit already dead, and he can no longer see through those. Vert's actually inside of Cocktail right now. I don't even know if they're sure of his presence. Retro with a hell of a shot onto Laxing on the roof. This all of a sudden makes this winnable. Vert on very low HP. Oh no, J9 loses a very important gunfight. It's all down to Retro, currently inside of C1, but Vert's ready for him, takes his head off, and Oxygen 5 rounds on their offensive half of Cafe.
Yeah, I was a little worried there when we saw that the smoke got left alive on the inside of Freezer, that he would have been able to do some damage in the post plan, and that was indeed the case. I'm pretty sure Retro was able to pick up 2 kills from the inside of Freezer, if not 1 at least. But yeah, thankfully, due to the position that we had from Vert there, way over in Cocktail, they had pretty good control over him. Retro, this is, if he was going to try to swing at any point. So that's thankfully worked out pretty well for them to be able to have him in such an advanced position to control so much of the map after the diffuser actually went down.
All right, well, Oxygen now onto the defensive side. They're going to be starting things off strong with a top hold. Very rudimentary. This is what we're used to seeing people start off. But again, completely open to interpretation on whatever they want to do. Oxygen going to be prioritizing the shield setup here, with the Goyo coming along for the ride. So definitely a far cry from what Disrupt was, trying to do with their setup, mainly just with that Goyo, though. It's obviously still going to be pretty close when it comes down to the reinforcements. Just could have things change up, especially around that bathroom area. Vert's going to be reinforcing that, as well as you're going to see the freezer reinforcements more than likely, as well as a rotation being made by Slashug right now inside of the bathroom. So this is going to be more or less holding down that freezer slash bathroom area for Oxygen as they try and slow down this take onto Christmas. And they offer quite a bit of utility to assist in that.
Well, let's see how Disrupt fares for their attacking sides, and how the playstyles, more importantly, may differ between these two teams here. Disrupt, of course, potentially bringing a different flair to their attacking side than we saw from Oxygen, and might be the same for Oxygen's defenses. I believe they'll play a little bit more in the face of Disrupt here, especially now that they have a 5-1 advantage already over them just at the start of the second half. There's a lot of room for confident plays to be made here from Oxygen with very little consequence if they go wrong right now.
Yeah, Oxygen kind of throwing the book at Disrupt right now. Foxay's probably going to go for a Nitro early on through this hatch, as well as they have some holes made inside of Christmas to throw a Nitro into Cigar Shop whenever ready. Fox, not exactly ready, and I believe it was actually the Buck that ended up opening that up, and Fox immediately dips. Cannot get mad at him for that at all. That Skeleton Key can definitely do enough damage when a Nitro cell's in your hand to kill you.
A few more players here from Disrupt still watching the second floor as well to make sure there won't be any attempts to mess with the repel work if Disrupt are indeed going to be relying on that in order to get access or try to force back the players in Xmas. Which right now this is really just coming down to Vert holding back Piano here. Even he might not stick around here for very long if he thinks it's unsafe. Disruptor actually going in through the second floor too, so potentially going to try to sweep up from there. It looks like Shuttle with a drone supporting him as he moves forward here is quickly clearing out the large majority of the second floor. He knows he's got the Malusi on 90 just to his left as he walks out this door. So now I think just waiting on the drone just to be extra cautious in the event there is someone nearby. But they figured that out now. They know it's no longer the case, and they're going to be clear to make the rest of this, clear of the second floor.
We could run into some problems here as we have a rotation from the defense coming up Brown right now, but actually being played towards the bottom. It's laxing. Have a really, really large impact here. Although he probably doesn't know it just yet. There's quite a few members of the offense right around him. Slash ends up getting taken down. Shuttle, the red dot Don himself, picks up his very first kill of the game. Starting off this offensive side right with 2 big picks.
Ferd is also nearby. These players, however, has snuck up from behind them, I believe, working his way down through red, or managed to get here through another avenue. Drone's gonna find him. They know he's here. However, no longer is this a secret play, and he did not catch or was not able to calculate the opening that had already been made into the library. And as a result of that, he gets caught by Shuttle trying to change his angle. J9 continues to push the advantage for Disrupt. Very, very well played by them so far. It's all down on Foxay in the 1v5.
A very rough round for Oxygen overall. Granted, it's not over yet. We could still see something happen here of an impact. A Nitro cell out. Is it going to kill him? No, it's J9 actually. And oh my god, the cavalry's there. Just peeked himself into a firing squad as the flawless round goes through for Disrupt. Disrupt, keeping it textbook, man. Very nice, clear, good drone work, got the info game, and punished OXG for those independent plays that they were trying to make. And that's something that we've talked a lot about with Oxygen, especially in this last week from what we had seen previously. There was a lot of, solo-esque things going on that Oxygen attempted to perform on their offenses, a lot of disjointed fights that really weren't recoverable from their teammates. They're now falling into that same trench here on the defense to start us off here, but we're immediately transitioning downstairs to kitchen. Not a bad play here by Oxygen. I feel like they're going to centralize a lot more around their utility game and try and slow down the execution from Disrupt.
That round should force a lot of respect out of Oxygen when it comes to them trying to make plays against Disrupt here. Disrupt controlled so much throughout that round, and Oxygen just never really seemed to have any type of playmaking capabilities except for like the first 30 seconds to a minute or so when they were trying to line up stuff like you saw Foxay trying to make a play towards Red Hatch that he had to fall back from and things like that. But as soon as we saw members of Disrupt getting into the building, they seemed to have full control over the situation from that point onward, and that may now dictate the state of play here for OXG going into the next round if they know they're going to try and reattempt that for all the following rounds as well. OXG may decide to play a little bit more passively now as a result of that.
Very, very true. And Cafe offers a lot when it comes to that passive style of play, especially with something like Kitchen. Like, you can prepare for a lot of things here with, both sides being pretty defendable, especially like the bakery side. Obviously, we see a lot of the times where people fall off of that. Oxygen mostly, actually kind of spread out right now. They have a different VIP setup than what obviously we're used to seeing, but I'm sure it works in the exact same fashion. Deployable shield in there with a couple of ADSs to try and make anyone last just a touch longer. Fox going to switch out with Laxine as he's now on that mid floor and going to try and be the stopping point for this offense.
J9 still trying to check out inside of mining, of course, trying to see, first of all, if there's any roaming presence, and secondly, I think he's got a bit of a top-down angle, so trying to play off of that if it reveals anything as well, but nothing so much as of yet, and now J9 is going to move up a level along with Shuttle and work to take third floor control away from OXG. Foxy and NJR are going to end up in a mini duel here on the inside of Library. Neither player coming out on top of that one necessarily, as both will just get a shot or two off onto each other and back away for the time being.
Nice clear here from Disrupt, forces Oxygen downstairs, but it was more by their own choice than anything. They'd much rather keep the man count even and let Disrupt work the map. And honestly, I think that that is the best avenue for him right now. They have a lot of good utility placement downstairs to slow down this offense of Disrupt. It's going to be mostly under the vertical play to get these picks for Disrupt now. We need to see some successful plays here.
Once again, top-down angle is going to be utilized over the next few moments as we'll see the Buck start to open those up and hopefully open up the possibilities play. I mean, hey, he's going to get a little assist through that Nitro Cell too, which thankfully for Shuttle doesn't do a whole lot of damage to him. It's going to start to run low on ammo though, so that capability to self-destruct is going to be limited quite a bit at some point within the next few seconds here. This is going to lead into a very important stage of the round where both the attackers and defenders are going to try and sneak off kills from all these angles that have just been opened up. Obviously, the attackers have a slight advantage in that arena, but doesn't mean the defenders won't be able to get anything off either. And now with the freezer hatch being opened, the execute from Disrupt shouldn't be too much further away.
No, it should not. And it looks like they're also going to be prioritizing this freezer side. So no bunker presence right now for OXG, but they're definitely good for it, especially going in these last 30 seconds. I think Disrupt are going to get caught off guard by this because we have a lot of presence out towards Whiskey right now. The only thing that they truly have to worry about inside of sight is Slash Hug. Everybody else off, but that means that they can't possibly try and take anything horizontally right now. With such a low time, they're going to have to try and force something. We're looking for the drop for the freezer. Some last little tidbits of information coming through on these drones. Fox with the M590. Slash actually gets taken down in their inside freezer. It's happened, and they're planning. Bio's Evil Eye can't stop it either. Still on read. He's going to go through with it. Bio rotating into prep now as the trades are big and bountiful, but they lean into Disrupt's favor. How is this even allowed to happen? Hell of a shot from Shuttle as they're shutting down everything Oxygen's trying to do. Bio sticking it. Reed goes for the swing. Bio burns him, but immediately gets killed by Shuttle. Disrupt still in this one.
Once again, masterclass play there from Disrupt, and more importantly, a great job kind of masking the overall strat there up until the very end of just dropping the two players into hatch and maintaining the rest of the post-plant control, seemingly from a top-down perspective. Great stuff from them. Also, I mean, that's a big miss for OXG on not being able to catch that and properly punish it there when the actual play finally shuffles out onto the site itself. OXG seemed like they had solid control over everything around the site up until those final few seconds when DG just full sent it and it worked.
There was a lot of vertical play to worry about inside of site, which is why we saw everybody get off, right? But I mean, even with that being said, there's 20 seconds that remain. You have info on site with the Evil Eye. There's really no one there to try and counter out the drop. Like, that was really their only option. They had Oxygen just by process of elimination. Oxygen had control of every other means to enter that site except for the freezer hatch.
And that one small opening was all Disrupt really needed.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's really rough for them because Oxygen has everything locked down. I guess they just misread exactly what was going to go on, and Disrupt dropped the hatch. Everyone lives dropping the hatch, and you get a diffuser down while no one's really trying to contest you. The only thing you have to worry about is the Evil Eye over the sink. I mean, for Disrupt, that was a saving grace right there. If there was anyone to try and capitalize on that, that round is over.
Ends up not being the case there, and Disruptor able to not only hold on but flourish out of that situation. Coming out on top with yet another round for themselves, now setting it up at 5-3, just 2 more rounds away from tying up the overall round score. And for Oxygen, still no success being found as of yet on their defensive half, but still with a 2-round advantage. They're not sweating just yet, but starting to get to that point here. OXG does need to worry a bit here about their capability to close things down.
Exactly that. That's the thing. They're still 1 round away from getting to map and match point. And the more rounds that Disrupt rack up, the more desperate Oxygen is going to get. They do still have 2 buffer rounds, though. So they'll be able to at least get a good read on what's going on and try and counter things later if things don't exactly go the greatest right now for them. DG already have some presence inside of Bakery, and I mean, this is free. This is as free as it possibly gets. No reinforcements onto the prep. They're able to just walk in, hold down prep, and start torching the wall. So that doesn't mean that the round is completely over, folks. Trust me, there's a lot more that they need to do, especially after Slash gets the kill onto Retro. Did they end up getting the wall open? They did. Yeah, that's a really, really good thing, because if not, that was not only an amazing shot from Slashug, but that would have left DG in really, really hot water.
I'm gonna guess when it fell, like when it turned soft, that's when they were able to get the shots off on him, and he just wasn't able to move quickly enough. So he just kind of a victim of his own actions there, unfortunately. But he got his job done, and that's what's important in this situation. Oh, nice trace as well from Shuttle. New Laxing went for the oh, what? Gets another one as well on a Slash. I don't even think he knew he was there, but nonetheless, beautifully played by Shuttle. Let's see if he can get one more here. He's got another target sitting behind the wall. Gonna be able to isolate that one. Not so easy this time, it seems, but he's more than punched his ticket for this round. Now it's time for the team to push in and start taking some control.
It's the most amount of kills I've seen the old red dot get ever. I'm gonna be really honest with you, but who more to do it than Shuttle? And such a good player for such a long time. Those two big impact frags now more than likely going to give GG another round unless the defensive operators of Oxygen have anything to say about it. They do still have the vertical play for Fox A. He knows that one got in, but I don't know if he has any verticality across. He doesn't, and Reed's also planted inside of smoke. They don't know where this is going down. Reed's going to secure the plant. Vert works into K2, gets one for his troubles as Reed goes down, but this is going to be a very difficult post plant here for Oxygen as DG has locked down most of their avenues.
It's not a great position to try and counter defuse either because of these post plants. Fox able to confirm J90. He has lost vertical and more than likely he's not going to be able to retrieve him. Bio with a nice aim though. He's going to be able to take out NJR. Now it all falls to Shuttle. He's going to have to come out clutch in a big way, and unfortunately he cannot get it done. Just over 15 seconds remaining. I mean, there's plenty of time for the counter defuse as long as Fox ignores his dead teammates, and that's exactly what he'll do. Oxygen, after so much struggling here on the defensive half, are finally going to be able to push themselves up onto map and match point.
It feels just very funny now that, like, not a long time ago we were talking about how smokes were just never used anymore. Nobody smoked plants. Nobody uses that utility. And every single plant that we have seen go down today from either of these teams has been a smoke plant. Every single one of them. Like, it's kind of weird how it's worked its way back in, but it's really, really effective. These plants continue to go down for both of these teams. This time, Disrupt getting away with that one, but did not end up locking down the round after some really, really good play from Oxygen to win those gunfights. I mean, that was really it. It all came down to Shuttle and weight on his shoulders, but that man had already done so much inside of that round, as well as downing two members of Oxygen in the process of trying to hold the diffuser down as well. I mean, what else can you have the man do? Somebody else has to step up and help him. So for Disrupt, I mean, granted, you are down 3 rounds right now, though. But if Shuttle keeps shooting like that, and you guys can keep getting into these instances where you are into that post plant, I feel like they can definitely run it back and push us into OT. But for now, Oxygen well in the driver's seat, all the pressure on Disrupt.
A huge sigh of relief winning that round for Oxygen. Now they can focus up on just shutting down that singular extra round that they need in order to take the win here in the series today. And that's what's, of course, most important out of all of this. Regardless, though, massive improvement being made by Disrupt here over the previous week's performance. And they're not really out of this match just as of yet either. As you were mentioning, there's still a really good opportunity for them to swing the next 3 rounds into their favor and try to take this to OT. It's just now it has to be done in a row since they no longer have the luxury of a lost round to give them that extra buffer.
Yeah, also the difficult thing with that, right, is if you're thinking about it in the regards of, okay, we have to have 3 practically perfect rounds, otherwise we're going to lose, right? That really affects a lot on how you're going to play. Granted, again, these are professional players. They've done this for a very long time, so not going to affect them as much. But when it comes down to it, you are tending to play safer when you are inside of these instances because you don't want to die. So for Disrupt, hopefully that won't affect them too much. They've been able to have quite a bit of presence inside of the fragging department. It's pretty equal amongst both of these teams. Obviously, some people lagging behind, but that's exactly what's going to happen almost every single map. Somebody has to be the bottom frag. No.
All right, guys. Well, Disrupt putting a lot of focus onto those west walls inside of mining. And the hallway outside of it early on here, probably a little bit of pressure into third floor Cigar as well, but it does look like the majority of their pressure is indeed working inside of Mining and Train. Already taking some early control there. Oxygen is holding the top down right now. They don't have a massive player count in the site itself, which could become problematic here if too many bodies from Disrupt are able to get into that mining area that we were just talking about before. Now, it should be noted that Oxygen also has a player on the first floor, so they have the potential to do a complete vertical pinch from both directions here. Bio can even make a bit of a run out here, although this one's going to be a bit too bold. No, he actually does catch a player, but is not able to get the damage off in time, and he's going to get caught running back in by J90.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. Not only the vent machine, or the vent machine, the AC unit outside, preventing him from getting the kill on Rappel, but also gets caught off guard right when he gets back in the door. But oh no, Oxygen now starting to do some damage to the Disrupt lineup. They're going to tag up Shuttle. Still have some presence inside of Christmas. Foxay could be going for a ride out this window anytime soon. Does still have the assistance of Virtus. He's holding down Red. Gets a nice shot onto Shuttle. The old teammate shuts him down. And Foxay going to pick up one of his own. Now Disrupt. Oh man, less than a minute. He's outside as well, but he gets picked off by NJR. The smoke assisting both of these players and blocking out the other one's vision. NJR immediately going to hop into Engine now. Diffuser inside of Train. Let's see how Disrupt can possibly work this.
A hop out a little bit too bold there for OXG. Trying to kill a player that, yes, has been in that same position for a while, but still can't get the job done. J9 still stays alive, as does NJR. Now that situation here with 20 seconds left, Disrupt have to start forcing themselves into the site. Diffuser is down, but I believe it's under their control, so it's not going to be a massive task to pick it up. There we go. They've got it. Now they've got to move in, though, and this is where the problems start to show up. In fact, it's already just down to J9, and he can't maintain. Laxing shuts him down, and Oxygen take final control of this series. They will win it today, 2-1 in their favor, with a victory here on the third map on Cafe.
Amazing series in between both of these teams. Oxygen finally shutting it out here on Cafe. And I gotta say, John,